Give me just a second. There we go. Now I can see chat. Okay. Nice to see you guys. So this, in the pinata, yes, I will be showing all of these guys today. But for future people who are going to come into this video after the auction has happened, because they're simply people who aren't going to be aware of this live, this video here is to show you in person the details of the figures and for me to show you some little quirks here and there that I'm aware of. They will, of course, be shown live on the Whatnot auction when Matt sells them, but I'm not able to talk directly during those auctions. I'm only able to text and chat, and I can only go so fast during that. So that's the whole point of this. I'm doing it live so that you guys can ask me questions about each figure as they come up. And so yeah, let's just get started. I heard Pinata. I'm gonna wait a little bit before I pull him out, but are there any other figures that you guys want to see right off the bat? I've got 19 finished. 2 of them I have not revealed yet, so you guys are going to get a little sneak peek on those 2. Pinata, though, I know a lot of people. Chaos. I do not have a custom Chaos right now. These are all Senseis, and they're all ones well, except for the 2 that I posted on my Twitter, and they're all for a Whatnot auction that is coming up. Chompy Mage. I do have Chompy Mage done. He's the most recent. All right, here he is. No Prison Break Retro Death. These are all Sensei customs in this lot. So here's Chompy Mage. He is done from a Jingle Bell Chompy Mage, so not green. Little cheaper than that. You know, I do have a couple Prison Breaks that will happen. So after this Sensei lot is done, I'm going to finish up a couple of collections, my chess collection and my dragon fruit collection. Then I'm going to do a bunch of broken figures, and I can guarantee I have 1 or 2 Prison Breaks in that. You can't do Whatnot? Oh, that's okay. It's not for everybody. Okay, but yeah, so I had a couple ideas with Chompy Mage. I was either going to do a blue or bone Chompy Mage, and I went with the bone because I thought it was more interesting, honestly, than just doing a blue scheme with him. And now we have a Halloween variant to go with the Christmas variant. So it's hard to tell on camera, but the puppet is a bit more of a grayer black than his tunic to try to give it that more handcrafted look. All the bone details you guys can see just fine. And his staff, I used a metallic, it's actually a pearl paint to give it this shiny look to kind of imitate what it was before. There's a tiny bit, so you can kind of see down with his hood, there are tiny bits of little flecks of black on that. But other than that, I'm pretty happy with how this one turned off. Nothing big on the base, because these Sensei bases are so nice in that they are just black. So anything I get on them, I can just paint black and no one will be the wiser. So there's Bone Chompy Mage. I'll set him off to the side for now in case anybody comes in later asking about him. Rainbow Chompy Mage, that's an idea. We've got Fire Chompy. I have to look through what all Chompies there are and maybe eventually do a mage for each of those. Depends on how many people want those. Even the Jingle Bell's not too cheap. Okay, let's do... Just gonna go with whatever's closest. Look at Blastertron here. You like the Bone Chompy the best? Same here. I don't know why, but they're cuter than the normal ones to me. It's fun. So Blastertron, I kind of didn't know exactly what I was going to do with him. I just wanted to do yellow and black seemed right. He's kind of the odd one out in the light element in that he is purple of all things. It's not a bad look. It's just different, and yellow has kind of been the more staple light look, but I didn't want to go yellow and white. I wanted yellow and black, and that obviously kind of led to a bumblebee theme, but I ended up doing a lot more orange in there and going for a very honey look. And so I've got this is what is called a dragonfly glaze. So it's kind of a little bit glittery, but not yeah, it's pretty glittery. And it kind of has a color of its own, but it gives it it very much looks like it has been coated in candy, which is exactly what I was hoping for. So being able to show these on video lets you see that. Pictures, when a figure is very still, you kind of miss that. And so that's why I like doing it here. So lots of glistening. He looks sticky, but he's not. He's perfectly dry. Next, this is a fun one. Hoodsicle here, he gave me a bunch of trouble figuring out what to do with this guy. Because of his figure design, it's really hard to break away from the Grim Reaper aesthetic. It's got such a strong connotation to it that I'd have to either make it like super ridiculous, give him like a candy cane makeover, or kind of lean into it and go at a different angle. And that's what I opted for. But I actually ended up almost completely redoing him from what I originally had planned. So initially I had hidden ghosts on him, and what this guy does, only one of this group, but this little here is a black light, and it doesn't all show up. If I turn the black light on him, get all these little stars, and also lights up hidden highlights in his hood. Initially I had, it does it on his hook here too, but it just kind of washes out because the hook itself also glows. But you see there's stars on there too. Those took ages to do each one. But before I did stars, I had ghosts. And because of the texturing of his hood here, it just didn't look very good. You couldn't tell what it was other than just vague blobs. And so I switched it up and just went for enhancing the colors, so enhancing all the blues and the greens, and then adding the stars instead. It still has an ethereal look, but the one bit I kept is that here on his staff, there is a hidden handprint. So that's a fun one. I am able to do glow-in-the-dark figures. So the main parts of the blades will actually also glow a little bit. Glow-in-the-dark paint isn't the greatest. I have it. I do glow-in-the-dark figures. I do blacklight figures too. That's what he is. He's more blacklight than glow. But I prefer to reserve glowing for when I have the opportunity to use clay. I don't have any excellent examples on me right now, but the clay glows so much better, so much brighter than the paint ever will. So yes, I can do glow figures, but not too many of them because it can be a bit disappointing if it doesn't. The paint just kind of only does a little bit. Blacklight paint is much nicer, and I have lots of these little lights now, so I will be sending these with the figures that I sell that have black light. So you will have a black light to go with your black light figure, so you can make it light up. So that's a guarantee. I'm going to put these guys back because I don't want too much clutter. And next is one of the earlier ones I did of this batch, and we got Boom Bloom. So this was a damaged figure. She wasn't quite broken off. She was just super loose at the waist. That has been made secure now. But this is Nightshade Boom Bloom. So I took her green and darkened it. I took a surprising amount of layers just to make a darker green. And then did purples and blues to get that bioluminescent look. And that's a lot of fun. This is not glow in blacklight. This is just a glossy blue. So it is shiny, and then metallic. Lavender's all in here. Highlights on the leaves. Yeah, this is a fun one. So, had some light damage. You can never really tell at this point, but worth noting. There she is. Okay, now we've got some more people in here. Yes. The Pinata, people like the Pinata a lot. I quite like this one. This one actually has a bit of a fun story behind the design. So rather than trying to do something totally different, I had fun just... Lollipops are such an iconic candy that come in so many colors, and I have always favored this blue-purple color range with candy. It's really pretty to me. And these colors specifically are actually because with a group of kids, I made lollipops with them. It was a fun little project. It was successful, and they were coconut flavored, and it was great. Most of it got thrown away, but we did successfully make, not this kind of spiral lollipop, but the twisty ones you'll see at fairs. We made those, and it was a lot of fun. You like the blacklight stuff? You like this better than the original? I'm glad. That's kind of the goal with these, is to either meet or surpass the original appeal. But yeah, so I've got swirls going all around here because when you do candy, you can really have fun marbling it. So this is not a straight stripe. It is all swirls and fun curves and stuff. Kind of a fun candy mix. The lollipop itself is just kind of a customized lollipop look. And he is the most glittery figure I have made to date. I use a glitter paint, so it's not going to rub off and cause a mess, thank goodness. But he is very, very, very sparkly. I don't know how much you can see. Different colors in it too, so you'll get glints of red and yellow and green all in there, along with the blues and the purples. So yeah, there's our Pinata. People are excited for him. So am I. Next I've got, this is one I like a lot too, Chopscotch. She is probably the, yeah, glitter can be the worst. Your gloves. Yeah, handle with care. No, I would not use any actual glitter that causes a mess. Thankfully, glitter paint is as attached as if it were embedded in the plastic. You do not have to worry about that. I would not be using it if that was the case. Anyway, Chopscotch here, despite how much color is involved, was probably the fastest to do of all these Senseis because she is so textured. Up, if we're going to focus. There we go. So the goal here with her was to play on her name, the hopscotch, which is made, it's a game played with chalk. So all of this is to imitate the chalk texture, something I am very familiar with. And it purposely is only layered on enough to get that look while still letting the original plastic shine through. That's what gives you the really light absorbing chalk look. So reflective light is where you get shiny. Absorbed light is where you get this very matte look. And that is a trademark of chalk. And then also having it down here in the cracks. So when you have a chalk picture and it rains, this is typically what happens. All the stuff in the cracks of the asphalt gets left behind while the top is left nice and dark. So that's the imitation going on here. There you go. She was a lot of fun to do, just messing with colors, being silly with it, and I'm very happy with how she turned out. I'm considering changing her eyes to yellow. Before I did this darker gray on her skull, the lighter gray worked really well with her eyes, but now that it's a darker color, her eyes need a bit something more to pop, and I think matching the yellow up here will be the best way to do that. But chalked Chopscotch, there you go. All right, here we've got our Shadow Ninja Taekwon Crow. His original design is fine. I know he's supposed to be fire element and it works for that, but when you hear about a ninja crow, this is what I want to see. I want to see the blacks and the blues and all the mysterious looking aesthetic, very stereotypical ninja in the night look, but I like it. I love corvids. Magpies are my favorite bird, and I love crows too, so I wanted to get a nice black bird in here. His beak and his claws are all shiny, but his feathers are matte. Oh my goodness, yes, there are always. In fact, here at the end, I'll show you Aurora, where I've only got her first coat of paint, and you will see the significant difference in how it looks. I wouldn't even just say, some of them I do an entire undercoat like Blastertron, so with him, because I knew I was doing so many yellows, I painted him completely white, because if you just start layering yellows, you will never get a solid color. It will always shine through, especially with purple. Yellow and purple are opposite. So yes, some of them I will do a complete black or complete white. Most of the time, I just continue to layer on colors until I get it to where I think it looks good. Sometimes I purposely leave a very thin layer, so such as with his shurikens right here. These are actually only 1 or 2 layers. If I did more, I could have gotten a much more vibrant blue, but I kind of liked this dusky, dark light blue, and I stuck with it. His jacket here, it looks very purple in this, and it is purple, but it is also a color shift, so at right angles, it will turn blue. That's another fun fact with him. Speaking of blue, got another blue figure. True Blue Pit Boss. Pit Boss, there we go. If you don't know, a blue viper is a real animal. It is a pit viper, which is what Pit Boss is named after. And they do have little nose pits on him, kind of. I don't know if they did a very good job actually making him a pit viper, but the intent is what matters. Anyway, simple as you can see, I just took the color scheme of an actual pit viper and applied it. So, blue pit viper has very light blue underbelly, much darker blue, almost about this dark, right on the top of its head. His jacket down here, again, has a dragonfly glaze to give it that shiny look. Most of this is matte. It'll become a little more, just a little bit more glossy looking once I do a clear coat over it, because I use a satin clear coat, which makes it look a bit more plasticky. So here's what I was saying with trying to just layer in yellows, is that even with the fairly blank clear base, you still get a bit of that going on there. I might add another layer to it, but I already added truly about 5 to 6 layers on this, so I might just leave it. But there you go. Orange-eyed, blue-scaled, I love it. Here we've got Evening Ambush. So he was another damaged figure. You will never guess how he was damaged, truly. But yeah, painting a figure black. Hang on, what are you asking? So painting another figure black with the same paint design, it should change its look slightly. Yeah, it does change the look a little bit, but they all of these figures have hidden details that get really lost that I like to pull out with all the colors. So this is made of clay. So this is one figure that is fragile, especially if you're the person who's buying this. Bear in mind that if this drops, there is a high chance that it will crack. Now, there is a very thick wire running through this with a fairly, most of this is wire. That's what I'm trying to say. And wire runs end to end, but even with that, wire bends. And if it bends, the clay it will not break off entirely, so it won't snap. It will crack. And that is almost worse in a situation like this, but it is a necessary thing. Otherwise, this would break incredibly, incredibly easy. But it is actually fairly sturdy. So as long as you treat it nicely, it should be fine. Lots of fun little details to add all over his staff. I had fun with that one. Both staff just seemed really appropriate for the position he was in. There are a lot of ambushes out there, though, who don't have their swords, and if I come across other ones, I'll do something different. But yeah, like I was saying with all the hidden details, his little designs down here are usually pretty hidden, so I went ahead and highlighted those in orange, and purposely left some green down here to give it that autumn look to grass. Yeah. Evening Ambush, there you go. Might as well jump into the second ambush I had, which had a break that I don't think I've ever seen on the ambush before, and that it was his entire forearm was missing. So if you look at this one, his arm was missing right here where his cuff is. So it had a little bit of an elbow, and that's about it, along with the connecting piece. So it was faulty factory glue that had caused it. And yes, I just pulled the Guardians of the Galaxy and made him have a fun tree branch growing arm. It fits with him. He's mostly made out of wood and grass. Now, this is, again, made of clay. It has some flex, so you can see I can bend it. What I did was I basically wrapped around and around very, very thin bits of clay around wire. So again, like with the other bow staff, it has wire running through it. It has some flex, but if you do too much, it will crack. This is not actually as fragile as you'd think, because it might crack a little bit, but that blends into the aesthetic pretty nicely, so you can get some amount of movement without worry with this one. The biggest issue is if you would completely crush this. So packing it is going to be an adventure. We'll see how it does. But here is our overgrown ambush. Yeah, I hope you guys like this one. It is an experiment for sure. His arm's a bit bulky back here, and the brown doesn't quite line up, but it's good enough. He's experimental. Here's one I really like. Arctic Wolfgang. Very, very shiny one. Again, I like my shiny paints. I'm very fond of them. But when I saw Wolfgang and I started painting them, I knew I was gonna eventually do like a Wolfgang of every wolf color there is, because I like animals. And doing a white wolf was one of the top priorities. I decided when I got my first Wolfgang to go with the wild dog, the African wild dog look, but then yeah, I caved and I went ahead and did the ice wolf. Did more blues than I initially planned, but I really liked the color gradient that it created with very light blue and then doing the much darker blue for his bow harp. I'm not sure what they decided. I think it's supposed to be a bone harp, but they turned it into a bow. So I'm not sure what to call it anymore. Changed his eye to blue. It looked a lot better than his original color. Spikes are all glittery. Of course I had to do glitter on this one. It's ice. If you've ever been around snow and ice, you know it sparkles. So yeah, fun, shiny wolf. And in the same day, I did Idle Wolfgang, which is truly my excuse to play with all the metallic colors that I have. So got more of a bronze base color that fades into a gold here on his back, brighter gold for his spikes. A metallic black, actually, for his cuffs here, a rose gold coating over top of his black shorts here. So kind of an odd color there, but it's fun. And then obviously a couple different golds for his arrow, and his bone piece in the middle piece is a nice steel silver. It's meant to look like a statue. That is what it is meant to look like. And it's fun and it's shiny. Moving along to Grayscale Tri-Tip. Grayscale was not the intent going in. It kind of happened, and I kind of liked it, and I stuck with it. So he was a damaged figure. He had the tip of his horn right here was actually chewed just a little bit, but enough that I couldn't really just cut away and fix it. I had to cut the entire tip off, and I just stylized it to make it look like it was broken in battle. Give it a very intentional look to it. And I took a little chip out of his nose horn here to match that. So this horn was actually just fine. I just did that for aesthetic. And then I gave him a little crack down here to emphasize the look. So that's what you're seeing there. And then, yes, this is a kind of a gloss satin paint here, so it's already a bit shiny. He's got very, very sharp highlights with the white and the black and the gray. And I'm quite happy with how he looked out. Again, not the initial plan. It just happened and I rolled with it. That's kind of what happens when you do painting most of the time. Okay, here's one I know a lot of people really like. That is Deathbringer Starcast. Well, you can really see it here on camera. So his blades here are made not with Ventablack. It's not quite that dark, I don't think, but it is made with a black paint that is meant to go darker than normal black paint. So if I pull out Chompy Mage here with his black hood, you can see the difference right there between the two blacks. This black has a level of reflection to it that makes it seem a little bit lighter, whereas this paint is meant to minimize the reflection that you see. Yes, I know, everybody likes this one. So it gives them that very void look, which is what I'm looking for on that. And yes, of course, everybody is immediately making the connections to Puss in Boots: The Last Wish. I was aware of that. You want a grayscale comic now? I've put off any form of creative writing for Skylanders while doing all this custom stuff, but it could happen in the future. I do draw. That is another thing I do. Make it a very short, quick one. So yeah, again, here's a good example of a dragonfly glaze that really has its own color. affect the figure. So the black, he had just the regular black here on his body, and the only thing changing that to make it a little bit purple and blue like this is the dragonfly glaze. And different glazes will get you different color effects, and it's actually pretty hard to tell what exactly you're gonna get until you apply it. I think I had a different one on first that I didn't quite care for, and I decided I like the purple here. Here on his fur tuft, I imitated what the original figure had and added some more intense glitter paint right on top. Get a nice thick sparkle right up there, but only right there. I left his pants black, and let's see how we can show. There you can still see, sorry, I made them red, but I let it leave some of the black texturing in it to give it more of a dirty, used look. So that is intentional up there. Did his eyes red, and yeah, just gave him his Deathbringer look. So yes, I know people are excited for him. He's another one though. Oh, I should probably clarify this before I move on. So again, there is a wire running through these. The wire is much thinner in these compared to the bow staff. Thicker than the branches though. So this should not bend at all though. You don't want to bend this or it will crack. This is another one that if you drop it and it lands here at an angle, it will very likely break. So another more fragile figure, treat it gently and you'll be fine. Shouldn't be too terribly difficult to pack, but yes, another fragile one. Here's one that I was surprised by how many people really enjoyed it, and this is Rugged Airstrike. Again, I wasn't changing up the character very much in this. I just kind of filled it out is what I did more than anything. I left his skin tone and just colored his clothes to look more like what you would expect some mountain climbing falconer to be wearing. Did a bit more of a red-brown here. This has got a bit of a gloss to the fur, some color texturing to it. Leather glove. Colored the tassel here so you could actually, I don't know if anybody would have noticed this even existed on his glove until they were up close painting. I was like, oh cool, there's a little tassel on here that actual falconry requires. I have done a tiny bit of falconry before, so I know a little bit about it. Went ahead and highlighted the gold ring here too, because that's actually a fairly big part of falconry right there. His feathers up here, I went ahead and made them more like the magpie tail feathers, so they shift green to blue a little bit. There you go, better see right there. So those hidden colors that you get in real corvid feathers. And then of course, most obviously of all, his own falcon, I did white. I forget what kind of falcon it is called, but I did see wild falcon that had these sorts of colors, and it was a gorgeous bird. So rather than going with a brown falcon, I wanted to really have fun with the white. Not make it a snowy owl, I didn't want to do that, but just do something different. And people really seem to enjoy the contrast that has with him. So he's an unexpected favorite, and I look forward to seeing how he does. So yeah, there is our Rugged Airstrike. Okay, just one more figure that I have shown so far, then I have two figures where this will be their official reveal. So here we've got Daybreak Kingpin. So, of course, it is very easy to come across Kingpin, and I figured I might as well throw one into this batch. I wanted to go with an Emperor theme, but I have a Kingpin who has this part right here broken, and I want to do some research, looking up actual official Emperor attire, and have some fun with clay to really make him into an Emperor Kingpin to play on that Emperor Penguin motif. So for this one, I just had fun with the red and the yellow coloring. His back here, so normally he is a very dark blue. I kept that aesthetic, but I just changed it to a very dark red. And so if I were to hold another Kingpin up here, I don't have one easy access at the moment, but if I were to put a Kingpin up here, you would actually be able to see how different the colors actually are, despite them being so black. And then his belly, much more obviously, is not white. It is a light yellow. Did some orange and yellow running down his sides here to add extra highlight. And then obviously his weapons here are the star of the attraction. Filled in all the gold with black. And then edged it in red. He's a pretty straightforward one. I enjoy him. Okay, now for the figure that probably took me, the sickle might take longer, but one of the longest figures. This truly took me 4 to 5, maybe even 6 hours. I'm not good at keeping track, but he took a while, and I am very happy with him, and it was just a fun process overall. Here we have Rainforest Mysticat, and you can probably see now why he took as long as he did. So, went full-on Jaguar look with this. His underbelly is a much lighter color. So I started off with just color fading the oranges and the light tans, coated his fur in white from the initial purple so that our oranges and yellows would show up. Really see on the arm his color change there. And that alone took a couple hours late at night. Yes, all the spots. The spots are very satisfying. His armor, where I did the dark green, has even darker green, almost black spots as well, because I just wanted to go all out with the spotted effect. See it all down in there. Went brown for his staff to give it a wooden look. Bit textured there, letting a bit of the gold kind of show through, but it is a satin wood color. Matched it here with his, I don't even know what you call that. I guess it's kind of a crown. Paws, because of course I'm going to put the cat toe beans on the paws. So yes, fancy Rainforest Jaguar Mysticat. I am very, very happy with how he turned out. It is actually going to be hard to let this one go, but he is made with the intent to go to a new owner. So if you haven't already, sign up for Whatnot for a chance to get this. I'm not going to make it again. And then finally, when I finished up just yesterday, this is another one where I decided so much, it was a lot of detail on him. But you like the cat? Thank goodness, because he is, yes, he was a lot of detail, a lot of time, but so very worth it. These Senseis they truly take at a minimum 3 hours each, oftentimes 4, maybe 5. Mysticat is on the higher end there. Whereas I could do a core figure in like 30 minutes to an hour, which is why it is so slow getting all of these guys up. But I got another one done yesterday, preemptively, and it is again one I just had fun with the colors. This is Bejeweled Barbella. I had so much fun just being ridiculous and making her cuffs embedded with every gemstone under the sun. I did not pick out specific gemstones, I just had fun with the colors, and then going on top with the shiny metallic. So I did a base coat of just matte colors to hide the gray, purposely leaving the cracks fairly dark to give that, it helps it pop a lot when you have the cracks stay dark like that. And then going over top with shiny and not being too terribly worried. Like, you can still see darkness in them, but that just gives it a more rocky gemstone texture, which I am a-okay with that. I purposely left, so with her barbell here, I just did a simple coat of red, let it dry, and it left a lot of the dark, and then I went over with a color shift purple red top coat, and it gives a nice shiny crystal look, but also that depth that real rocks have when you're looking at them. Yes, I know you were waiting for Barbella, Matt. She came very close to Chompy Mage, which is actually why I prioritized her over doing a couple of the other ones. For a minute there, I was like, oh my goodness, she might finally beat him out. And then another 20 votes came in, and they were all Chompy Mage, so can't say I'm too surprised that he won, but definitely prompted me to go ahead and do her. So her skin is also colored, but colored very lightly. So normally she is a very solid light brown. I did a fine glitter red paint. It's the first time I used this paint, and it turned her skin just a bit redder while giving extra sparkly look to her. to give it really that gemstone look. I didn't want to lose the translucency to her, so if I take my light here, I don't know if this is a good light to example with. Here we go. There we go. Yeah, we still get a lot of color through, and it still has that translucent look to it, which is perfect for something made to look like it's a gemstone. Her tunic here, I left mostly alone. I did a top coat of the black and gold color shift, so it's got a little more personality than just being plain black, and I rimmed all the gold in blue. But other than that, these are the attraction, and I'm quite happy with it. Her hair is another color shift, kind of a pink-purple look to give a bit of an amethyst. I left her eyes silver because they really pop, and that is exactly what we want. And again, with all the senseis, if you haven't noticed at this point, all the senseis that have a belt, I left the belt gold because typically it looks just fine on the figure, and the sensei's golden belt is meant to signify their status as a teacher, and it just works to leave them. So I've not tried to change any of the belts. They still have that uniform color to them. So that is the last completed figure that I have, but I did promise, more or less, to show you guys what an incomplete figure looks like when you only have some of the paint on. So prepare yourself. This is what a very, very, very unfinished custom looks like. Oh yeah, you can see all the mess that is. You do not get to put on one coat of paint and call it good. It is a process. It is layering, and it is patience. Here we've got very clearly all the gold showing through. But this is going to be a Northern Aurora to actually make her look like the Northern Lights. Who would have thunk? With a name like Aurora, to actually imitate what you're named after. So, again, obviously broken. Her arm's off. I'm leaving her arm off until I finish painting the sword and her cuffs, because that'll make it much easier. What is left to do, so this is a base coat, just plain colors here to give the basic guideline, and so that it's easier to layer on the fancy colors. But I've got gloss paints here that I'm going to start with, and I'm going to edge them. I'm going to try out some more glow paints and some more black lights to have some more northern lighting effects. So she's going to be shiny, she's going to be special effects, probably glittery somewhere, probably. I'm going to probably do some glitter on her helmets. She's going to have all the exciting stuff. But when you start out with these things, it doesn't look too pretty on its own. See here, Eon's face on her chest. Such a weird choice, but it exists. Very modeled looking. And in some cases, you might want to look like that. In this case, I really don't. Her pattern here on the back is so pretty, though. I love the mold design that Aurora actually has. This very feathered tail looks so cool. Here I've got very solid blue, then green, then pink. But once I get the top layers, I will start blending those together and giving that Aurora Borealis look. If you've seen the Borealis Freeze Blade, you will know what to expect there. I'm going blue and green and pink rather than orange and green and pink with this one to kind of differentiate it. Here on her legs, she's got bands that wrap around. It's really cool looking, and it's not the kind of thing you pay much attention to. So I would probably do a midnight blue on them to give them their own look. Maybe honestly, a dark purple could be really fun too. I might try that. Her shirts and her pants, so the sleeves and the legs, I will leave black, and they've got a nice glossy black already that I might leave as is. I'll touch up here. One of the frustrating things about when you leave a color just as it is that more times than not, the factory oversprayed. So you can see here where I've got the blue, that's actually covering up gold that overshot on her sleeve. And so you have to go back and still touch that up to a degree. But yeah, I'll add the stars on this. I'm making her helmet black. I think that'll be a good overall look than trying to make that as bright as her tunic here. So yeah, there you can see a little sneak peek as to what she will look like. And you can see what a unfinished, very, very unfinished figure will look. It looks like when you just start. Like, again, This here took me around 30 minutes to do on its own, and that is just a preliminary base coat to help the colors that are going to go on top shine correctly. When I finish it, she will go on Twitter, probably in a few days. I'm going to spread them out a little bit so I have stuff coming out as I start my school semester. Joy there. But you will be able to see the difference in what a barely started figure, I wouldn't even call this half finished, this is barely started, looks like compared to a finished figure. And if you are looking to custom yourself, this will give you an idea that it is not a one and done, throw some paint on. Okay, so here's the opportunity if you guys have any questions to ask them. Otherwise, I'm gonna close off. So I'm gonna give you guys, I'll give you guys 2 minutes to hang out, ask questions. Otherwise, I'll just keep talking through this, that follow me on Twitter to continue to get updates on this. These figures are all going to SCL Matte to be sold on Whatnot. The starting bid isn't entirely set on them all yet. Most of them are going to be probably $20 to $25 starting bid. There will be a total of 24 figures. So today you have seen 20 of those. 23 figures. There are 3 more figures yet to be revealed. One of them is another tri-tip that's already in the poll listing if you are voting for what comes next. 2 more of them have yet to be revealed, and they are both very exciting figures. One of them I know exactly what I'm going to do with. The other one I am scratching my head as I stare at it, which is why it has not been listed yet. But I will get to them. I'll come up with something. Many of these figures I have very vague ideas going into initially, and I just have fun letting it play out. No questions for me? Thank you so much. I am glad you are enjoying the artwork. And yes, this video can serve many purposes. Anybody who just wants to see custom figures, welcome. I'm glad you enjoy them. I'm glad you wanted to see them. Those of you coming back after they have all been sold on Whatnot, here's what I can tell you about the figures you are buying. And so yeah. Thank you again, everybody. I think I'm going to go ahead and end it off. Have a good day.